Can we play some NBA on NBC music in here?
We can't break copyright, but we can go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Game Plan here on Sorgy Stories. I'm Anthony.
I am Daddy. We've been waiting for this one for the entire Game Plan series.
Yes.
It's last, but it's not least at all. It's by far the best in a lot of ways. It is the town we've been looking maybe forward to more than any other to travel to see the Milwaukee Brewers play. It is
New York City. The Big Apple. What else can we say?
It's New York. Well, we got a lot to say because normally we do 2 episodes for each city that we do. We've got at least 5 coming.
Yes.
What are we starting with, though?
The top 5 sports destinations in New York.
Because we're not traveling there, and we're not doing all these travels unless there's sports, specifically Brewers baseball.
Yes.
But there is so much cool sports stuff to check out, and we'll get into everything else in future episodes. Do not worry about that. But New York is as much of a sports town as any in America. We're going to start with your top 5 to check out. And your number 1 is a place where the Brewers are going to play the New York Mets at
Citi Field. It is in Queens, and it's just a really cool stadium overall. The shape of it is slightly unique, and they have a really cool home plate plaza. It's called Jackie Robinson Plaza, and they have all these escalators going up to the top floor, and it's just where everybody comes into the stadium, and it's just really cool.
To my understanding, and feel free to correct me on this, they wanted this to feel as much as a modern stadium could, like Ebbets Field, the old home of the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Oh, I did not know that, but it's just a really cool stadium. Also, from outside, you can see the bullpens and the pitchers warming up. So if you don't have a ticket, just stand across the street. You can still watch some of the action.
One thing to experience when you go to New York is, especially if you're not staying right by the stadium, what train line should they take?
I don't know.
Think about it. What's their famous fan group?
Oh, the 7 line. That's right. 7 line.
And this fan group is the closest in baseball to a European or South American soccer fan group.
We went to a Brewers Mets game, and they had hundreds of people just crowding into Miller Park. All the Brewers fans were silent, like going crazy.
What?
They took up like all of left field.
If you get a chance and you go to a game at Citi Field, try and find out when the 7 Line Army is going to be there, just to experience what a game is like. A baseball game that feels like a European soccer game with that fan base. That is such a fun experience. Your number 2 stays on the theme of New York City baseball. We talked about the Brooklyn Dodgers. But we're not going to a stadium. We're not even going to a past stadium site. We're going to a cemetery.
Cypress Hills Cemetery, right on Jackie Robinson Parkway. It's where Jackie Robinson is buried.
Why is Jackie Robinson so important?
Well, I think he's so important to everybody because he was the first African-American player in baseball. With no Jackie Robinson, there's no Hank Aaron, no Willie Mays, no, for the Brewers right now, Lorenzo Cain. And all these great players that are African Americans.
You could argue that without Jackie Robinson, there's no Rosa Parks. There's no Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. There's no civil rights movement as we know it that even still lasts today.
Yeah.
Because what he did and his courage to be able to take the ridiculous levels of horrific racism back in the 1940s when he became the first modern day major league player who was African American, and to stay with it and stay peaceful in his approach and let his bat and his play do the talking and become a Rookie of the Year, the MVP, and a World Series champion, and open so many doors. He changed society.
Yes.
That's why it's worth going to a place like this.
And number 3 is a Milwaukee and Wisconsin sports heritage place, Heritage Field. It is where 1957 Milwaukee Braves beat the Yankees in what was Yankee Stadium for the championship.
It's the old field of Yankee Stadium. You can hear the echoes.
Yeah.
You can feel the ghosts of that place. Granted, the Yankees won like 25 World Series besides the one that they lost to our Milwaukee Braves. Of course, we're now Milwaukee Brewers fans. But that's a place of such history for sports in general. You're not just talking about the Yankees, the most successful championship-laden pro sports team in American sports. You're talking about National Football League history. The Green Bay Packers won a championship at Yankee Stadium in 1962 when Vince Lombardi coached with them. The New York Giants were there for a couple of decades. History in college football. So many major events. Pele played there in some games with the New York Cosmos.
That's right.
The greatest soccer player, arguably, in history. This place was the mecca of sports for decades.
Yeah.
And the field still stands. You and I can play there. That is what makes that place so ridiculously special. Now you go south on the subways, you head into Manhattan, and we go to your number 4 locale.
Can we play some NBA on NBC music in here?
We can't break copyright, but we can go.
This is Madison Square Garden.
Of course.
And for us, it's exciting because I know I want to go there for Marquette.
Yes!
In the Big East tournament.
That arena talks of echoes and of ghosts. Think of the great basketball that's been played there.
Bucks Knicks, we all know that would be a blowout.
The Knicks aren't bad this year.
This year, as we tape this, they're not bad, but this is home to St. John's, the Knicks, and the Rangers.
The New York Rangers. I will never forget one particular summer when I learned about the history of that place, 1994. Simultaneously, the Rangers are playing in the Stanley Cup Finals and the Knicks are playing in the NBA Finals. That place, the eyes of the world were on that arena every single night, back to back, for championship action. And the atmosphere at that place is unlike anything. If you win in Madison Square Garden and you have a fantastic performance, the world will know about it. Your number 5, we were about a block or two away early with our number 3. We're doing these in alphabetical order. We are going back north to the Bronx, and where we're going to see the Milwaukee Brewers play the New York Yankees at the new
Yankee Stadium. What can we say? It's home to the Yankees. It's home to the Judge, the courts in session, as well as a lot of great players.
The place, you can't perfectly replicate the old Yankee Stadium with the new version, but they did a fantastic job. They gave the old school feel of the multi-facades, the look of the old facade back with the outfields way on the upper decks, the view from beyond the stadium of the buildings beyond it. That is such an iconic view. Every time you see a home run, you see that big, huge building right behind the stadium. It's right on the subway lines. The feel of a Yankees game is still similar to what you had when you went to games back at the old Yankee Stadium.
Yes, and you hear a lot about the ghosts of Babe Ruth that are there, and it's just a crazy cool place to be. They have the rotunda still, and they have plenty of pigeon spikes.
Nice.
I think they have like thousands of pigeon spikes in that place.
I believe it. Now we're going to hit my top 5. We are sticking with baseball. We give him first dibs. That's why he got the Major League stadiums. But we're going to take you to a minor league stadium that is still within New York City property. It is home of the Brooklyn Cyclones, like a block away from the beach and from Long Island Sound, from the Atlantic Ocean. Imagine a late afternoon. You go nearby to the original location of Nathan's Hot Dogs and you get a true New York City hot dog. Then you're spending a day right on the beach. You relax, you take your beach chairs, you take all your beach supplies, you stick it in the car, and you're still in the parking lot, and you get to go right to a baseball game, right smack dab next to the beach. And you've got a view of the Cyclone roller coaster, the 60-mile-an-hour roller coaster that the team is named after.
That's pretty cool. That's
a fun night. And an inexpensive night for those who think that sports in New York is way too unaffordable for your experience, this is a perfect alternative, and you get to see future Major League stars while smack dab in New York City. A few miles away from there is my number 2. It's only an apartment complex now, but there is a marker in this apartment complex for the old Ebbets Field,
Yes.
the home of the Brooklyn Dodgers until 1957, and that heartbreaking time when they moved from Brooklyn to Los Angeles and became the LA Dodgers. Understandable business move.
Yes.
But it hurt an entire borough of New York that felt like that was part of their family.
And essentially for them it probably was. Do you know where the name Dodgers came from?
Didn't it have to do with avoiding streetcars?
Yes. The name Dodgers came from people trying to avoid those cable cars that were running on the streets.
So you're just jetting back and forth like a game of Frogger. I don't think Frogger existed when they named the Brooklyn Dodgers. But the history in this place, we talked about Jackie Robinson. His entry into the major leagues happened at this location. That team back in the 40s and 50s, they made World Series after World Series, almost always lost to the New York Yankees, finally broke through in 1955 with a kid named Sandy Koufax joined that roster. They had stars like Duke Snider, Pee Wee Reese, and of course, Jackie Robinson, Roy Campanella at catcher, who followed him as a great African-American player. That franchise changed baseball and changed society, and there's still a marker at that apartment complex, just the home plate of Ebbets Field. A very similar experience is my number 3 pick. It's in Manhattan, but it's less than a mile from Yankee Stadium. It's the Polo Grounds marker.
Yes, the Polo Grounds.
Also with a marker at an apartment complex, no less. It is located on the bottom part of the famous Coogan's Bluff, which was way up, where fans could look over the roof and see baseball games from like about a half mile away. Wow. Fans would sit there and watch it, and watch the New York Giants, watch the football New York Giants, watch college football. It's where Vince Lombardi played his college football at Fordham University. And all that's there is just this plaque on the northwest apartment building in this apartment complex. The Packers won as many championships in New York City, with 2 of them being at this stadium. They've won as many championships in New York City as they have in Green Bay.
That's crazy.
1936, 44, and 62. They won 3 in Green Bay limits in the 1960s. And the only player to ever hit a home run out of the Polo Grounds deep center field wall. Imagine trying to hit a home run over a 60-foot wall 480 feet away.
Oh my gosh. So if you've ever seen the footage, it's absolutely nuts of the way the stadium is structured, because it's like everything was pretty shallow, and then it's just center field went forever. Didn't Willie Mays make a catch?
1954 World Series made a catch in the deepest part of center field, and what was so amazing was not only the overhead basket catch, but his ability to turn around and whip the ball back into the infield and stop runners from advancing. He saved an entire World Series game that day when the New York Giants won the World Series in 1954. But the other thing about that wall, the only guy to ever hit a home run over that 60-foot wall 480 feet away, the Milwaukee Braves' Joe Adcock. I don't know if Mike Trout could hit a home run that deep. I don't know if Aaron Judge could hit a home run that deep.
Christian Yelich.
Maybe.
Bellinger. Could David Ortiz? Let's bring Big Papi out of retirement and see if he can do it.
It was a feat of strength unlike any we've ever seen in baseball history. Just a couple of blocks away from there is my number 4 pick, and it is, I mean, literally, just walk 3 blocks, and you can watch some of the best basketball in the world.
Oh, that's what this place is. That's like...
Rucker Park.
Yes.
Every great New York City basketball player from like the 1950s on played playground ball there in the summer at Rucker Park. You're talking about Wilt Chamberlain. You're talking about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You would have NBA players, and still have NBA players, just come and show up just to play playground ball at this great historic park.
Now, I'm imagining them holding a summer tournament with, like, the NBA organizing that with New York City, where you have, like, Giannis and, again, one-on-one against LeBron. You would just have all these one-on-one pickup games, which pickup basketball is pretty fun if you've ever played it.
But imagine thousands of people showing up at the courts on a hot summer day to watch pickup basketball. It is incredible. It is worth the trip to go there, spend an afternoon, go to the Polo Grounds home plate, and feel the ghosts of sports past, and then take the walk over to Rucker Park, watch some basketball, and then cross the Macomb Dam Bridge, walk maybe less than a mile, and go to a game at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah,
That's a full day.
Yeah, and that's also only maybe 10, 15 blocks in total.
Right, exactly. It's a fantastic day. My number 5 and last pick in our sports destinations is the only one that's across the Hudson River in New Jersey. And that's because it is one of 2 stadiums that is the home of 2 NFL teams.
Yes.
MetLife Stadium. It's in the old Meadowlands Sports Complex. It's the home of the Giants. It's the home of the Jets. And it hasn't been around for a super long period of time, but it is absolutely state of the art.
Yes, it is really cool.
What are some of the things you've had a chance to study about it?
So the coolest thing is how they switch in between the team colors and all that. Green lights and blue lights that go back and forth. They go up in, like, machines, put it in, take the other one out. And that lights the stadium depending on who's playing. In the team store, they have 2 of each, and it's like a rotating thing. So when the Giants are at home, it's blue. Switch it back for the Jets, green and white.
It's also the only outdoor stadium north of the Mason-Dixon line to ever host a Super Bowl. They did it after the 2013 season.
That's right.
Seattle blew out Denver, and they're never going to do it again in New York for the reason of what happened after that game. That day was a beautiful day, about 45 degrees, sunshine.
Oh, that's
It was
beautiful.
Reasonably comfortable for a February football game in the evening. The next day, a blizzard hit.
Oh, and so I'm imagining, like, the executives of all these top Fortune 500 companies getting stuck at
Exactly.
these.
But the cool thing about going to a game as well in New York City is that you can take a few extra days and enjoy all that there is to enjoy about the city that is the center of so many things, not just in the United States, but across the world.
The city that never sleeps.
Exactly.
To quote Sinatra.
We have 4 more videos coming up with all the other non-sports stuff that you can do and the great restaurants you can eat at. And we have had so much fun and struggle trying to pick all this stuff. There are too many.
We have.
Our first one is going to be coming up next week. It is our top 5 things to do outside Manhattan. And there's a lot to do outside Manhattan.
Yes, that's for sure.
Manhattan is like this borough-sized downtown of New York, of this great city of New York. But there's so much else to do beyond that. We're going to showcase a lot of those picks. To check that out, to check out our entire New York game plan series and everything we do on Sorgy Stories, including our eventual Brewers road trips.
Gotta like, share, subscribe, hit that bell.
Ding, ding, ding.
Just go outside of your house and yell, "Go Brewers."
Go Brewers. So glad baseball's in full swing. So glad. Little buddy, I am Daddy. Can you give us a New York style Bob Uecker?
So long from not Yankee Stadium or not Citi Field, but Sorgy Story Studios in Milwaukee. See you, folks.